Really happy to welcome back here on AM Quincy, the Rural Lodge here in Quincy. And we have some new faces and some new names to introduce you to, and maybe some new programs and opportunities for you to get to know the Masons here in Quincy as well. So before we talk about any of that, let's welcome our guests, Senior Warden Dan Harris and also Master William Blake. Gentlemen.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have the Rural Lodge back. It's been, gosh, too long since we've had an update. Matter of fact, the last time you were still in the old Masonic Hall on Hancock Street. So this is the first time we're featuring the Lodge since you've moved into your new location over on Greenleaf Street. So it's well overdue for sure.
Yeah, happy to be here. The new building is treating us well. It's a pleasure to be back in Quincy. We were meeting in Weymouth for a little bit while we were getting the new space ready, and it's good to be back home.
Yeah, absolutely. How is that space, William, working out for you?
Very well. It's a little bit more parking than the old building.
Yes.
But they did a whole refresh of the building, so it's beautiful inside and out. I don't know if you've ever been in there, but
I never have. No.
We offer open houses a couple of times a year. We're typically in the building on Monday in case people wanted to stop by and see, or if they were interested in talking about masonry. But it's good. It's been good so far.
It's an old Christian Science church, as I recall. Is that right, from years ago?
Yeah, I think a couple of different people have called it home for before us.
Yeah.
I believe it was a church, and then the Woodward School for Girls owned it for a couple of years and used it as like a theater annex.
Yeah.
Before
How old is the
over.
building? Do you know roughly? It's
1919, I think.
Okay.
So it's actually a little bit
older than your former
the one
location.
On Hancock,
yeah.
Which is interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, very well. So I wanted to get a little information about both of you.
Sure, of course.
And your kind of your journey into Masons. Dan, we could start with you if that's okay.
Yeah. So I became a Master Mason, a full member in April of 2021.
Oh, okay.
So I did sort of my whole process throughout COVID, which I'm sure you can imagine was quite the process. It took me about a year to kind of do all the 3 degrees. But really what led me to Masonry was just, I was looking for a social outlet. I have a full-time job, I have a partner that's wonderful, and I was kind of just looking for something else. And I had always been interested in Masonry and fraternal organizations as a whole, and I just kind of entered my info on to Mass Masons, and I got a call from Graham Marsden, who I'm sure is a familiar face around Quincy, and kind of started the whole process from there, and it's been great. I can't say enough good things about the Lodge, so we're really happy to be here today and talk more about that.
Quincy resident, right?
I am, I live over on 500 Wash. I've been here for about 10 years or so, and Quincy is a great city, has a lot to offer. It's, kind of I came from Alston Brighton, so kind of in the thick of city life, and then to move to Quincy, it was a little bit quieter, a little bit slower pace, but I'm a big fan of Quincy.
Yeah, so you mentioned the 3 degrees.
Yeah.
So what are the 3 degrees?
So the 3 degrees are entered apprentice, which is kind of your first step, fellowcraft, second step, and Master Mason is your third.
Okay, and you've achieved all 3 then?
I have, yes.
Yeah. Is that typical? Do you have to do that?
You kind of have to go through, you do have to go through all 3 degrees to sort of be considered a full member.
Yeah.
But yes.
Okay, and now you're senior warden at
warden.
the Rural Lodge.
Yes, so
what does
that
mean?
is if you go through all of the chairs, so that would be like the second, so I'm essentially Will's vice president. We kind of work in tandem and sort of govern the Lodge and make sure everything's going as it should.
Yes.
Dan keeps me honest and makes sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Oh, we all need somebody like
that.
Exactly. Absolutely. What would you say, Dan, have been some of your most rewarding experiences so far with Masonry?
I would, it's hard to really put talk about any in particular, but, I meet a lot of people who are interested in Masonry, and, they come to us on Monday nights. We're open for officer rehearsal, but also it's a good chance for interested parties to come in and take a look. Guys who come in not knowing a ton about Masonry and kind of like I was, maybe a little bit apprehensive at first, and then by the time they're within the process, they're psyched and excited about it and learning new things, and it's really fun to see.
Yeah.
You know.
What would you say are some of the misconceptions that people have about Masonry that maybe were dispelled once you got involved in it?
I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff online, and a lot of it is, you take it with a grain of salt.
Sure.
I think some of it, there is, anything can be put online. So there are things that are true, but a lot of the things that, in terms of misconceptions, we're talking about, we're not a cult. We're not, you're there under your own free will and accord,
Yes.
which is kind of a major thing.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that guys are doing it because they want to,
Yeah.
not because someone else is. There's no animal sacrifices. You don't have to ride a goat. We're really just a bunch of guys that like hanging out with each other
Sure.
and like being together and like making our community better, and then by extension ourselves.
Yeah, it's a fraternal
Yeah, it's
organization.
a fraternal organization.
Yeah.
We're just a fraternity for.
One of the oldest in the world,
Exactly.
actually. Isn't that
Exactly.
right? So we'll turn it over to the master
Yeah.
of the lodge, William Blake, and tell him about your journey to Masonry, if you could, William.
So I became a Mason in June of 2015.
Okay.
Rural Lodge in Quincy actually isn't my home lodge. I
Okay.
joined at Howard Lodge down in Yarmouth. I grew up on the Cape.
Oh.
I'm a 6th generation Mason, actually. So
Really?
Masonry in my family goes back a long time. It
Oh,
started at Pequasset Lodge in Watertown. My dad was a member down in Howard. I joined with him when I was in college. So between college and grad school, I was moving all over the place. And then my fiance and I settled down in Quincy. And I was like, okay, it's finally time to pick a lodge and get involved and start showing up. And I just showed up to rural one night, kind of like Dan said. And
Yeah.
everybody there was phenomenal and welcoming. And I'm like, this is it. This is where I want to be involved.
Found your home.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I've been a member there for 4 years now, I want to say.
Yeah.
Okay. So still relatively new as well, though.
Relatively new to
Yeah.
that lodge in particular.
Yeah, but
Yep,
not Masonry, obviously, yeah.
I was a member of D. Malay when I was younger too,
Sure.
so there used to be a chapter here in Quincy that met in the old building. Unfortunately, that's gone dark, but I've been around Masonry my entire life.
Okay. And has it been what you hoped it would be here at Rural Lodge, would you say?
All that and more,
Really?
in all honesty. Yeah, because I always had the understanding of Masonry through watching what my father and my grandfather and my great uncle had done. But once I kind of jumped in with both feet and got into the thick of it myself, I realized it could be kind of anything I wanted it to be. So
Okay. And you are the master of the lodge.
I am, yes.
How did you achieve that, and what does that mean?
So sort of what Dan was alluding to, there's a progressive line of going up the chairs.
Yes.
So right when I joined, I decided I wanted to become an officer at rural. Jumped in and have worked my way up. I jumped a couple of seats due to some people dropping out or some people not moving up. So I went up a little bit quicker than most people, but it's been fun the entire time.
Yeah. Tell me about the status of Rural Lodge. How many members, kind of the age ranges, different committees perhaps that exist, things like that.
Yeah, so rural is doing very well. I personally think it's the best lodge in the state. Others might disagree, but
Sure.
We have 135 members on the books at the moment.
Really?
We actually just finished raising, so when you finish your 3rd degree, they call that the raising. That's when you're a full member of the lodge. We've raised 6 members this year, and we've got 2 more to do at our June meeting, so we're on track to do 8, which is very good. We have a couple of committees going, so we're doing a blood drive in June, which is something we try to do every year. We do a couple of them to benefit the Red Cross. And next year is actually Rural's 225th anniversary.
Is that right?
Yep. So we were chartered June 8th of 1801 here in Quincy.
Okay.
And we've got a committee stood up to start planning some events for both members of the craft and the public to come out and celebrate our anniversary.
Okay, very good. We'll look forward to that. We'll have to be back before then, certainly, to talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
So who can be a Mason, and how do they do that?
So Masonry, as you mentioned, it's a fraternity, so it's only open to men. The age changes depending on which state you're in. In Massachusetts, it's 18. And you have to believe in a superior power. So you can't be an atheist, but you don't have to be any specific religion. Rural, I would say, is very diverse. We have
guys all over the place.
Christians, Hindus, Jews, Muslims. We've got kind of the whole gauntlet, which is nice. We have a lot of diverse people in the lodge.
Sure, absolutely. How do they do that? How do they become a Mason?
Honestly, it's just you have to show up and ask and express an interest.
You don't need a sponsor or an
Nope.
invitation? No?
No.
Okay.
No.
Not anymore.
Oh, all right.
You know, you do need a Master Mason to sign off on your application,
Yep.
but if you come to the lodge and you meet the guys and you show up to dinner and you come to a couple of events, somebody will sponsor you, but you don't need a family connection like I had to become
Okay.
a member. If you're interested, you know, you can reach out to the lodge. We'd gladly set up a meeting. Grand Lodge a couple of years ago ran a campaign called To Be One, Ask One. So if you're interested in being a Mason, all you have to do is ask, and we'll get the process started.
Okay. Grand Lodge? What is Grand Lodge?
Grand Lodge is based out of Boston, so
Okay.
there is 251 Masonic lodges, I believe, in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Okay.
And those are called blue lodges. Those are the ones you'd find in your community. You know, Rural Lodge is a blue lodge, or the ones in Weymouth and things like
I
that.
see.
And they all fall under the banner of Grand Lodge in Boston.
Okay.
And they've got a similar structure, so the same way I'm the master of Rural Lodge, Dame's the senior warden. Grand Lodge is a Grand Master and a senior Grand
I see.
Warden, and they, you know, help manage the fraternity as a whole in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
And about how long does the whole process take, you know, to become a member?
If things go as planned, meaning just like there's not a pandemic or anything like that.
Oh, yeah, that.
It's about 3 consecutive months once we've had an interview, an investigation, and then you have to be sort of read into lodge. It needs to be presented to the brethren that you are interested. So.
Okay.
Once you start that process, it's about three-ish months
Yep.
consecutively.
And, Dan mentioned the interview process. That is, I would say, somewhat rigorous at Rural Lodge.
Really?
We, as an organization, we want to be growing. We want to welcome new people into the fraternity. But you do have to want to join for the right reason.
Okay.
We've had people come in who have believed what they've read online and thought it was, a backdoor to world power.
Interesting.
And that's not what it is at
Yeah.
all. And if you come in with that frame of mind, you might not get admitted.
Okay.
Right.
So is there a panel or a committee that interviews you? Or how does
It's
that
usually
work?
about 3 or 4 guys.
Okay.
Well, so there's 2 interviews. There's the pre-application interview where we just sort of chat with you very informally
Sure.
about, kind of like what brought you in, what are you interested in, why do you want to be a Mason, and sort of if that sort of checks out, and like Will was alluding to, if you're not thinking it's a backdoor power, or you're gonna figure out the secrets of the world and why things are the way they are, then that kind of moves on to a more formal investigation. It'll be 3 members of the lodge, again, more asking about, again, why do you want to be a Mason?
Yeah.
What's your time commitment like? Is your family psyched about it? Because it really is, we are a family organization and we want families to be involved. So if you say your significant other is like, I don't know about Masonry, maybe you should have a conversation.
Okay, okay,
And
yeah.
those are the things we want to know ahead of time
Sure.
before we continue on.
You want members to stay, right?
Yeah,
You want
yeah,
them to
ideally,
become-
yeah.
And to stay, yeah,
Right.
exactly. Okay. Is there a cost to be a member?
There is. So there's a cost right when you join, but that covers your first year dues, and you get some, Masonic paraphernalia and literature when you join. And then the yearly cost is
It's like 170.
170, I believe. So that covers dues to Rural Lodge and also dues to Grand Lodge that the lodge in general
Oh, I
has
see.
to pay.
Okay, very good. So let's talk about some of the good things that
Yeah.
Rural Lodge does in the community, Quincy and beyond, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, so since I've taken over as master, I've had a big focus, I would say, on charity. I've wanted
Yep.
the lodge to do some good charity work within the community.
Yep.
So we recently have spun up, we're offering scholarships to the 2 Quincy high schools.
Great.
2 scholarships per high school. One for a student pursuing a college education and one pursuing an education in the trades, because we want to support, all avenues of advanced education.
There's a lot of opportunities in the trades right now.
There
too.
really
Yeah,
is,
for
and we
sure.
want to support that and
Yeah.
give people the opportunity to pursue what they're interested in.
Sure.
Beyond that, we support Quincy Scouting immensely. A couple members of the lodge are involved in Scouts. So we've donated use of the hall. We've attended their events. Back in March, they did their annual trivia night, which they filled the dining hall. It was a great event.
It's nice to see that
And-
hall full.
Yep, I think
Sure.
they had about 120 people.
Oh,
in
that's
attendance.
great.
That's
Very good,
very
yeah.
cool.
And Rural put in 2 trivia teams. I'm happy to say
Ah.
that we won trivia.
Very
so
good.
a point of pride.
What was the theme?
General trivia.
Oh, okay.
So nothing in particular.
Okay.
But we did well. I was very pleased with
yeah.
that.
Very good.
And then beyond that, it's supporting other youth groups. So we give money to DeMolay, to Rainbow, which is a Masonic youth group for young ladies.
Yes, yeah.
And also we make monetary donations to the Scouts.
Okay.
So we try to do charity work through both time and financial means.
Absolutely, yeah. So there are specific committees, I'm assuming, for each of those causes or efforts?
We just have the general charity
Oh,
committee,
okay.
and so Dan and I will meet with them 2 or 3 times a year.
Yep,
We'll
yep.
make the case for what we want to donate to, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay. Anything, you mentioned the blood drive, that's coming up in June, I think, right?
Yep, that's June 14th, so that is 10 to 2, I believe, at the Lodge
At
on
the
Greenleaf
Lodge.
Street.
Okay.
And then we are marching in the Flag Day Parade later on that evening.
You and everybody else.
Oh, nice.
I'm looking forward to it.
Finally,
I got
nice.
into contact with the rec department a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
They were very interested to have us back, and we're very interested to be there.
Oh, that's great. Very
Yeah.
good. The whole lodge? Did there be a full contingent, do you think? Or?
We hope so.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to put it out to everybody in the lodge,
Yeah.
and we'll also put it out to other lodges in the district.
Oh, all
so
right.
rural is in the 8th district, and that includes Quincy, Weymouth, and a lodge in Hingham,
Oh,
and
okay.
Braintree, pardon me.
Okay.
So we'll put it out to them, and we'll see if we can get a large contingent of Masons to show up.
Excellent. So, William, 135 members, how does that compare to the time that you've been there, and where would you like it to be in the future?
Where would I like it to be? That's an interesting question. So, like I said, we're on pace to raise 8 new members
Yes,
this year,
yep.
which is going to be great. The membership numbers are good. I'm more focused on retention,
Yeah.
so I want people to keep coming back. So
Okay.
we've done a variety of events this year. We did a holiday party in December. We did a ladies' event this past month where we attended the Quincy Symphony.
Oh,
And we are doing a game at the Free Jacks in March, and then a family cookout in July.
okay.
So
All right.
Dan and I are really trying to make efforts to make it a family affair.
Yeah.
If you have kids or a partner or grandkids, you can show up to these events and have a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Get them to keep coming back and have a good time.
Yeah. Now you're both, younger faces for the
Yeah.
Masons in general. Is that kind of the goal? To get a new generation of folks to come in.
In general, I would say yes.
Yeah.
The people who we brought in this year are on the younger side,
Yeah.
which is nice. But there is no age cutoff
No, I
to join
understand.
the lodge.
Yeah, I understand.
And I think that's what makes it so great is that we're all brothers, we're all buds,
Mm-hmm.
but we're all from different ages and different life stages, and so you learn a lot from that.
I would think,
And,
yeah.
I have friends that are in their 70s as much
Right.
as I do guys in their mid to late 30s.
That
which
you
is
might
where
not
I'm at.
interact with otherwise.
Exactly,
right?
otherwise, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Probably why you did so well in trivia. You have such a great background from all different generations.
We did have a pretty diverse table in terms
Yeah.
of ages, so that really helped out.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the website, rurallodge.org.
Yes.
And email master@rurallodge.org.
Yep, and that email address will come directly to me.
Okay.
And from there, if somebody is interested, we'll pass it off to our membership chair people who will help organize tours of the lodge
Okay.
and get people in for dinner or just to have a casual sit down and talk about Freemasonry.
Sure. Dan, I want to ask you because William, you have Masonry in your blood,
Yeah.
from your family, but this is first for you, right?
Yeah, and it's really exciting because, I love it, right?
Yeah.
So ideally, who knows what life has in store for me over the next few years,
Yeah.
but ideally I would love to start, a Masonic lineage.
Right.
Because I really do feel like it is something that can benefit, a whole family or,
Yeah.
you have, so.
Yeah, I'm just thinking for someone who would maybe in your position, like
Yeah.
you were, thinking, I'm looking for something.
Yeah,
some
that's
kind of
that's
connection.
again, that's what we aspire to be. Is a place where this can be a part of your life, and you can bring your family and bring your wives or whoever it is, and make it, the center or at least part of the center of your life.
Yeah.
And
So for
Yeah.
someone thinking about it,
Yeah,
and haven't done it yet, what would your advice be? you
do
know?
it. Come
Yeah.
talk to us. We're happy to meet you. Happy to get to know you. And nobody's gonna pressure you to do anything,
Right.
even to join. Again, after those first conversations, if you decide it's not for you, no harm, no foul.
Sure.
Thanks for coming to check us out.
Yeah.
We certainly hope that you would stay, but if you find that either your time constraint is too much or you're just not into it, then again, no sweat.
Yeah, has to be a
so
good
just-
fit on both sides.
Yeah,
right?
just reach out and ask.
Absolutely.
Yeah, similar to what Dan was saying.
Yeah.
Once you join, if you're interested, it really can be whatever you want.
Mm.
So Dan and I were both very gung-ho. We jumped in with both feet and joined the officers line. We have gentlemen who show up with their families just for the events we do a couple of times of the
I
year.
was going to ask about the commitment required. Yeah.
And we have guys who come once a month. They have dinner. They come to the meeting and vote on the minutes and the bylaws.
Yeah.
And then they leave and we don't see them for a month.
Okay.
And
And that's okay.
that's
Totally
100%
okay.
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 We have guys who've been doing that for 50 years.
Is that right?
And if they don't come to a meeting, you should call them the next day and find out why they weren't there.
Ah, okay.
Because every member is valuable to the lodge.
Right.
We want to make sure that they're happy, healthy, and taken care of, and we want to see you in whatever capacity you can attend.
Sure. Again, Monday nights is the good time to come?
Yeah, so the officer line rehearses every Monday for the degrees and the meetings and things like that.
Okay.
And then we also have people down in the dining hall who, if you're interested, you can have a casual conversation about what masonry is, and if you're interested, it kind of spools up from there.
Okay. What time?
We're usually there around 6:30ish.
Okay.
7. Yeah.
Okay.
6:30, 7 o'clock.
So stop by, bang on the door.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything else you'd like to add, either one of you?
Just that it's a pleasure to be back here talking to
Yeah,
you.
well,
Yeah,
we
thanks so much for having us.
over the past year, the lodge has been making a big effort to be present in the community again. We've been spooling up some old partnerships that we've had with the Lions and Interfaith, and again trying to march in the parade in June. So, we're still here. We've been here for 225 years.
Yes.
We're looking for 225 more good
Right.
years with the city of Quincy.
Yep.
And reach out. We're happy to talk to anybody who's interested about masonry.
Okay. Dan, anything else you'd like?
I would just echo everything.
Echo
Will
that?
just say, yeah,
Sure.
We're here, and like I said, we love Quincy, and happy to again spooling up some old relationships, and I think it'll be great.
Yeah, well, we're happy to feature the lodge here at QATV, and we welcome you back for frequent updates as well.
Nice. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, like I said, we've got our 225th coming up next year, and so we'll probably be back to talk about some of the public events we've got coming up for that.
Good. We'll be happy to hear about those for sure. Thanks again.
Excellent. Thank
Thank you.
You're welcome. And thanks for watching us here at AM Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano. See you next time.